rhythm and soul got started and how the shrine incorporated with it.
How everything came together. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So, rhythmandsoulradio.com is actually created out of a weekly radio show that was called Rhythm and Soul Radio. So we started doing this show that was maybe 15, 16 years ago, 2 days a week, 2 hours per show at WHCR 90.3 FM, which is housed at City College here in New York, here in Harlem. And there became so much, eventually those two shows became one show. There's too much music for just one show over 2 nights or whatever to cover. So we said it would be, it might be a good time to start doing a 24-hour radio station that's dedicated primarily to independent music, because that's a lot of what we ended up playing. At first, when we did this show, Rhythm and Soul Radio was based on a show that was not about, a lot of shout-outs. It was about really good music covering all its different genres.
Right.
That is rooted in black music, because all music is rooted in black music. It's all our music, whether it's rock, country, hip hop, R&B, whatever it is. It all really starts from the drum beat. The drum comes from Africa, so as do all of us. So it was important to create a show that was sharing all of that. So that's what we created. Eventually, though, it became clear that the independent music movement was so much more organic than what was coming out of the traditional, record companies, labels, etc., etc. So we ended up playing more and more of that music, and as word spread, we started seeking out more and more artists, and there was more and more music to play. So we just said, you know what, let's create our own. It was a way for us to own a radio station. So we created this 24-hour internet radio station, and it's been running for almost 5 years now. And we've been, doing things that are more like regular radio. It was important for us not to be just like the traditional, internet radio stations at the time, which was a lot of times like jukebox radios. A song, you hear space, then another song, you hear space. It didn't sound like real radio. So we wanted to create something that sounded like real radio. So it was our big aim for us to really, when you listen to Rhythm and Soul Radio, it's like you're listening to your local radio station, except we're playing the stuff that traditional radio and most satellite and many other internet radio stations won't play. And they certainly won't play it together. So you'll hear a rock song with an R&B song, with a straight soul song, with a classic, soul song. You hear all of that stuff all mixed together. You hear some jazz cuts. You'll hear everything together. And so we built programming along the way to do that. As we continued moving along with Rhythm and Soul Radio, one of the things about radio stations is they always have events that are tied to them. So we created this event. I'm originally from Harlem, born and raised in Harlem. So, you didn't get a chance to see independent artists perform in Harlem much. So we created an event called the Rendezvous. At the time, it was called the Midweek Rendezvous. It was a weekly event, and we started off at a space called Creole Restaurant. Then we eventually moved it after being there for 3 years or so. We moved it around and then got to the Shrine, which ended up being the perfect location for us in terms of how they're set up and a real live music venue. And that's been our home ever since. So rhythmandsoulradio.com now presents the Rendezvous on the last Monday of every month, featuring independent artists from all over, and pretty much all the artists that are performing at the Rendezvous are artists that are played regularly on rhythmandsoulradio.com.
Okay, so you do host Rhythm Soul Radio at the Shrine.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Rhythm and Soul Radio, the show itself is now hosted in different locations. The show itself, the home base of the show is we still do the regular weekly show at WHCR 90.3 FM, and it's simulcast on rhythmandsoulradio.com. So that's where the actual studio show is. But then rhythmandsoulradio.com is, we have our layer, our studio layer, so to speak.
Right.
That is the home and and hub of where rhythmandsoulradio.com operates from. But we've grown to the point where we're blessed to have shows from all over the country and all over the world. We have shows like Soul Freedom and Soul Tunes that come from the UK. We have shows coming out of Atlanta like Spasmodic Movements Radio. We have shows right here in New York like ISB Radio, Musical Pathways, Legends Lounge, newer shows like Saturday Evening Lime, but we also have newer shows like Satan Center Radio. So we've created lots of different shows that are hosted from different locations, but they all, the hub is here in New York, but we have shows coming from all over, and then we travel and do live broadcasts from different locations, whether it's from Atlanta, from Springfield, Massachusetts, from wherever else.
So when exactly, what year did Rhythm and Soul actually begin? When was it born?
The radio show, the original radio show started in 1994, 95. I think, I want to say 94, but it's probably more accurate to say 95.
95.
So yeah, so we're about 17 years in with Rhythm and Soul Radio as an entity, as a show, as an entity right now.
Okay. And so, how do you see the future as far as changes with the radio show? Do you see any changes, or?
Most of the changes at this point are more for the station itself. I mean, it's about growth for us now. It's about, adding more shows where they fit. So, like for example, in the last year, we added our Caribbean show, Saturday Evening Lime, which is primarily a Caribbean-based show, but also includes R&B and soul music, but it's music that you would enjoy if you're in the Caribbean, because if you go to the Caribbean, you hear a lot of reggae, soca, calypso, but of course you're going to hear some soul music as well. You're going to hear some R&B and hip-hop, so it's a chance for you to enjoy that kind of flavor. We added a relationship show called Satan Center Radio that deals with relationships from a different perspective. Two men talking about relationship issues and issues that are normally taboo in a lot of circles. So we just added that. Yeah. So,
wow.
So there are shows like that we're going to add. We want to add some more talk programs, some more like sports shows, that sort of thing. More music shows where they fit. There'll be more live broadcasts. There'll be more event-related activities. There'll be more things where, the Rendezvous, for example, will go to different areas of the country and do similar to what we do here in New York, but to be able to spread that independent music movement around and spread Rhythm and Soul Radio around. And there are, more events like, this summer, Rhythm and Soul Radio.com is presenting a summer series at Drum called The Sounds of, Rhythm and Soul Radio presents the sounds of a musical movement. So we have, shows starring Peter Hadar and I Am Isis. We have an upcoming show featuring Yazara. At some point, we will actually have a full headquarters, office space, studio space, for all the shows to be centrally located. Those that wish to be could be centrally located.
Now I know your fans will look forward to that.
so we're that's something that hopefully I know it's in the future. Hopefully it's not in a too distant future, but that takes a while to get to. But the biggest thing is that as an internet radio station, we believe we're on the cusp of really bringing radio back to what it used to be and creating a new standard for radio. First of all, more people listening to music on the internet, than ever before. So as a radio station that is internet only, we don't have a regular, radio signal. We're not, on 100.5 on your FM dial. We're not on your AM dial. It's strictly internet. And more people are going to continue to listen to music that way, and listen to radio that way. And so it's important for us to kind of grow so that more people understand who we are, and more people understand, more importantly, the music that we're playing, and really supporting the independent music movement, because that's really what's most fulfilling musically at this point.
Exactly. Okay. So the next thing that you plan on doing is the summer event.
The
That's the next
we
thing
have
on the agenda.
our summer series.
Summer
The
series.
rendezvous happens on a regular basis. So we do the rendezvous at Shrine World
Right.
Music Venue the last Monday of every month, and that's our standard event that we've been doing for 7 years now. And we will continue to do that at Shrine World Music Venue, at least until there's another venue that I can't imagine who else is better than Shrine. But until we get to that point, we're going to be at Shrine World Music Venue. This summer, beginning on June 20th, is the first volume 1 of RhythmandSoulRadio.com presents The Sounds of a Musical Movement, and that stars Peter Hadar with special guest I Am Isis. And that's at Drum in New York City, 85 Avenue A between 5th and 6th Street. Then we also continue that in July 11th, The Sounds of a Musical Movement Volume 2. It's with Yazara featuring special guest Hashima. And then on August 16th, we have Rhonda Thomas with special guest Nakia Henry. So those 3 shows are all at Drum. Those are all in our summer series. RhythmandSoulRadio.com presents The Sounds of